In the vast labyrinth of human beliefs, Yahweh stands out as the supreme figure, the God of the Old Testament. But what if everything you learned at church was just the tip of the iceberg? Forgotten texts and hidden stories reveal an unexpected facet of this revered being. Imagine a God who is not only light but also shadow, a being that, instead of liberating, may be imprisoning humanity in an imperfect reality. In Gnostic documents, Yahweh is described as the demiurge, a creator who limits our perception and confines us to a world full of rules. The free will we have been granted is actually an illusion. Are we really free or just following a path that was set by Him? These intriguing revelations challenge our deepest beliefs. If Yahweh is both Savior and Jailer, where do we find the truth? And what does this mean for our spiritual journey? Get ready to dive into a universe of mysteries where the answers may be more disturbing than you imagine. The search for true divinity begins now. Yahweh is often seen as a single figure, but the truth is that He presents an intriguing duality. On the one hand, there is Yahweh, who is loving, protective, and benevolent, the one who guides His people and offers hope. On the other hand, there is the dark side, where Yahweh can be seen as a being who brings judgment, punishment, and even suffering. This complexity challenges the traditional view of a God who is only good. After all, how can a being who loves also be responsible for pain? This duality is not something new. It is already present in many religious texts and spiritual traditions. Light and darkness coexist in the same space, creating a rich and nuanced setting. This more complete representation of Yahweh invites reflection on what it means to be divine and what the limits of goodness are. If Yahweh is both light and darkness, what does this say about the world He created and the beings that inhabit it? The presence of darkness in Yahweh's actions suggests that there is a greater purpose in His decisions. Sometimes suffering can be seen as an opportunity for growth and learning. This perspective leads us to question whether evil is truly an opposite of good, or whether both are necessary parts of a whole. This broader view can help people better understand their own experiences, both joyful and painful. Furthermore, this duality can be seen as an invitation to self-knowledge. By understanding that both light and darkness are present in Yahweh, people can begin to explore their own dualities. Everyone has light and dark aspects, and recognizing this can be an important step on the spiritual journey. Yahweh's duality challenges us to rethink the way we relate to the divine. Instead of looking for a God who only grants blessings, we can learn to see Yahweh as an entity who teaches us through difficulties. This more balanced approach can enrich faith and promote a deeper understanding of life. The figure of Yahweh is also analyzed from a Gnostic perspective, where He is often identified as the demiurge. In this context, Yahweh is seen as a creator who, instead of liberating, imprisons humanity in an imperfect world. This interpretation raises important questions about the nature of creation and the role of human beings in this universe. Gnostic texts offer us an alternative vision that contrasts with the traditional Judeo-Christian narrative. For Gnostics, Yahweh is not the supreme God, but rather an inferior being who limits access to true divinity. This idea provokes a deep questioning about the relationship between the Creator and His creatures. If Yahweh is, in some ways, a captor, what is the true nature of the world He created? Furthermore, this Gnostic view suggests that true wisdom and freedom lie beyond the rules and limitations imposed by Yahweh. The search for knowledge, or gnosis, becomes a way to escape the bonds of this material world. Thus, Gnostics encourage the search for a deeper and truer connection, which goes beyond what Yahweh offers. This interpretation of Yahweh as demiurge also reflects the human struggle for autonomy and understanding. By seeing Yahweh as a being who limits, people may feel a greater impulse to question and challenge established norms. This can be a powerful engine for personal and spiritual transformation. Therefore, the Gnostic view of Yahweh offers us a new lens through which we can understand reality. Instead of blind faith, we are invited to explore, question, and seek the truth. This quest can be both liberating and challenging, but ultimately it is a path to self-knowledge and expanded consciousness. The concept of free will is fundamental in discussions about Yahweh and his relationship with humanity. Many traditions assert that Yahweh granted human beings the ability to make choices between good and evil. However, this freedom is surrounded by rules and limitations that may seem contradictory. After all, how can we be free if there are restrictions imposed? This situation creates an interesting dilemma. On the one hand, free will allows people to have agency over their lives, making them responsible for their actions. On the other hand, the rules established by Yahweh can be seen as a form of control. This raises the question of whether we truly are free or whether we are just following a predetermined path. Furthermore, imposed limitations can profoundly influence the choices we make. Fear of punishment, for example, can lead people to choose the right path, even if it does not reflect their true intentions or desires. This external pressure can create a feeling that true freedom is always out of reach. On the other hand, this tension between freedom and limitation can be seen as an opportunity for growth. When faced with rules and expectations, people have the chance to reflect on their choices and values. This reflection can lead to a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. Ultimately, the discussion of free will and the limitations imposed by Yahweh invites us to explore what it means to be human. Does true freedom lie in following rules or defying them? This search for answers can be a rich and transformative journey, full of discoveries and learning along the way. Apocryphal texts are like windows into forgotten worlds, where stories and interpretations about Yahweh unfold in surprising ways. Unlike the traditional narrative found in the canonical Bible, these documents offer visions that challenge the common understanding of the Hebrew God. Often these texts feature figures that move away from the pattern of a solely authoritarian Yahweh, revealing nuances and complexities that have been left aside throughout history. This diversity of accounts invites a broader reflection on the divine nature. Furthermore, by investigating these writings, it is possible to see how humanity's relationship with Yahweh is not one-dimensional. Apocryphal narratives may present Yahweh as a figure who, although powerful, also faces doubts and challenges in his interactions with humans. This provokes a re-evaluation of the God who, in many contexts, is seen only as the severe and distant judge. Through these alternative stories, the reader is led to question their own perception of divinity and authority. The Apocrypha also reveal traditions that were silenced or even persecuted. Often these narratives bring to light a more inclusive spirituality, where the search for understanding and connection with the divine is valued. This can lead to a deeper understanding that the relationship between Yahweh and humanity is actually a complex dance between love, pain, and learning. These stories make us realize that the search for truth can be a path full of surprises. On the other hand, the diversity of interpretations found in apocryphal texts challenges the idea of absolute truth. What one text may consider as revelation, another may see as heresy. This multiplicity of voices reminds us that spirituality is a personal journey, where everyone can find their own path and understanding. The Apocrypha, therefore, are not just accounts of the past, but invitations for each of us to explore our own beliefs. Finally, as we read these alternative narratives, we are confronted with the possibility that the truth about Yahweh and our relationship with Him is much more complex than we imagine. The plurality of perspectives encourages us to question and reflect on what we really know and believe. It is an opportunity to expand our understanding and, perhaps, find new ways of relating to the divine. When we talk about the illusion of control, we enter territory where reality and perception are often confused. The cosmic structure that Yahweh supposedly created may give the impression that we are in charge of our lives. But the truth is that we are often guided by forces far beyond our understanding. This duality between freedom and limitation is a recurring theme in reflections on Yahweh's role in our lives and how it affects our ability to make choices. Sometimes what we call control is actually an automatic response to external stimuli. The rules and norms imposed by the world we live in shape our decisions, and in many cases, limit our options. This reality can generate a feeling of frustration, as the freedom we so desire seems to slip through our fingers. Thus, the idea that we are in control becomes an illusion that prevents us from seeing the true forces that shape our destiny. Furthermore, the perception of control can manifest itself in interpersonal relationships. We often believe that we have the power to influence the choices of others, but this is a simplification of human complexity. Each individual has their own baggage, experiences, and motivations. Yahweh, as a central figure in this dynamic, can be seen as a force that drives us to reflect on the nature of our interactions and the way we connect with each other. Reflecting on the illusion of control also leads us to question what freedom really is. Are we free to make decisions, or are we just following a pre-written script? This doubt can generate anxiety, but it can also be an invitation to greater self-understanding. If we recognize that freedom is a social and personal construct, we can begin to transcend the limitations imposed by Yahweh and the world around us. When we analyze the reality in which we live and the perception we have of it, we may come across the need to redefine our relationship with the divine. The illusion of control can be a starting point for seeking a deeper understanding of ourselves and the role Yahweh plays in our lives. It is an invitation to explore the nuances of spirituality and freedom, allowing us to live more authentically and consciously. The search for transcendence is a theme that resonates deeply in the spirituality of many traditions. For those who feel limited by traditional teachings about Yahweh, there is a need to explore practices that enable a broader connection with the divine. This transcendence is not just a desire to escape the rules, but a yearning for a deeper understanding of existence and the purpose of life. Often, this journey begins with internal reflection, where the individual questions the nature of their beliefs and the limits they impose. There are several spiritual practices that have been used throughout history to promote this connection with a purer divinity. Meditations, purification rituals, and studies of sacred texts are some of the tools that can help break down the barriers created by the demiurge. Meditation, for example, allows the practitioner to silence the mind and overcome the limitations imposed by rational thought, creating a space for the direct experience of the sacred. This practice can be a portal to discover a reality beyond materiality. Additionally, exploring mystical and esoteric traditions can offer new paths. Many of these traditions teach that true divinity is beyond the figure of Yahweh, and that it is possible to find this essence in each of us. Some mystics talk about the idea that divinity manifests in nature and human relationships, suggesting that the search should focus on connection to the world around us and shared experiences. This broader look can help expand understanding of what it means to be divine. The search for true divinity can also be seen as a return to self-knowledge. Often, the limitations we feel are reflections of external expectations and dogmas that have been imposed on us. When we begin to look within, we may discover a divine spark that already exists within us. This process of self-discovery can be liberating and ultimately can lead us to a more direct and personal experience of the sacred, free from the bonds of the demiurge. Transcendence is not a destination but an ongoing journey. As we explore different practices and philosophies, we may find ourselves on a path of spiritual growth and evolution. This journey allows us to not only seek a deeper connection with true divinity, but also better understand who we are and what our role is in the vast fabric of existence. Thus, the search for transcendence becomes an essential part of life, a constant invitation to look beyond and discover what it really means to be spiritual. And so, as we delve into the depths of these hidden revelations, we are faced with an unsettling question. Could the true essence of Yahweh be hidden within layers of mystery that have been subtly concealed from us? Imagine for a moment that everything you've learned about God could be just one part of a much larger puzzle. What happens if we free ourselves from these bonds? These reflections take us on a path full of uncertainties, but also possibilities. There is a truth hidden in ancient texts that could completely change our perception of divinity. Is there a path beyond the demiurge, a place where we can find true spiritual freedom? What if the answer lies in ourselves, in our ability to question and seek the truth? As we continue this journey of discovery, remember, the answers we seek may not be what we expect. What do you think? Are we ready to challenge established narratives and explore what it really means to be free? Leave your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries to come.